Welcome to the Quick 10 podcast, brought to you by Quick Track, focusing on all things FedCon and cyber defense from different perspectives and different personalities, all in 10-ish minutes. Here's your host, Derek White.
Welcome back to another episode of the Quick 10 podcast here at CUI-CON 2026 in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Derek White from Beryllium and Quick Track, and today I'm joined by Tony Bai from Bai. What was the last name? Bai, who we just met. So this is the best part about doing these is that it's not just people we know, although we have had people that were on last year, so that's been a really fun part of this conversation. But you're from RISCPoint. I would like, if you can, just spend some time talking about what you guys do. Let's get into your background a little bit, and then we'll go into pepper question time.
Certainly. So my name's Tony Bai. I'm with RISCPoint. I'm the Chief Solutions Officer there. RISCPoint, we are a cybersecurity company that concentrates around the compliance area as well as cybersecurity engineering, and with the compliance we do both the advisory and the assessment. So we are a FedRAMP 3PAO or third-party assessment organization, and then we are a candidate C3PAO, just working our way to become authorized around that as well to do the CMMC assessments. And we do a whole bunch of other things on the commercial side with SOC and ISO and everything else, and same thing. Happy to be here. My background, kind of mentioned to Brian earlier, I am retired Air Force, 22 years, all in the IT and cyber area. My last 5 years was actually at the Pentagon as the cybersecurity and cyber defense SME for the Air Force. So I guess I can take some partial blame to all the things that we're going through about protecting CUI, because I had a hand in influencing and writing some of those policies and guidance around that. And done my time as a contractor, running these types of programs for government agencies, as well as running various 3PAOs around FedRAMP as well, and being one of the first C3PAOs at one of my prior organizations, as well as one of the first provisional assessors at CMMC as well.
Well, that's good, because the big common theme here so far in just today's episodes that we've recorded with speakers and attendees and providers has been the learning experiences over the last 12 months, 6 to 12 months. But even before that, where things were before there was even a program called CMMC, you have FedRAMP background too, and that's not something that gets a ton of talk in this space, as the DIB is still navigating the external service provider label, where that seems to be very natural to think managed service provider, but the cloud side. So from you mentioned the FedRAMP side before we started rolling here. So you guys are a 3PAO. Maybe talk a little bit about what that means and what those assessments are for versus a eventually soon to be authorized C3PAO.
Yeah. So honestly, that's kind of where CMMC got the term. They just added the C as CMMC, but FedRAMP 3PAOs, or third-party assessment organizations, are those that have been vetted. They actually have their ISO 1720 accreditation to do those independent assessments around FedRAMP. And FedRAMP program is really a cloud-specific adaptation of the 853 controls that all the agencies have agreed to is the standard for cloud solutions. And it's a way to formalize getting an ATO, or authority to operate, for approval to operate on behalf of the government, to ensure that federal data and metadata is protected at a consistent level. And that way, CSPs or cloud service providers don't have to go through the same assessment for each agency they support, right? So is that common framework under reciprocity and everything else. And it's a similar thing to what CMMC is. The CMMC is really catered around how to protect the CUI, but the key difference there is, where FedRAMP is about federal IT systems, because there's an ATO, it's risk accepted and everything else. This is how do you protect that CUI information when it's under contractor control and not directly supporting the DoD. So similar concepts, but there are slightly different scopes of emphasis around it.
Yeah, and obviously we don't expect everybody under the sun to understand all of that, because if it doesn't apply to you, then God bless you for going to figure that out on your own time, because nobody really wants to do that. But yes, that is kind of the whole point of this, is if it's going to be non-federal system in this case, where the government, loose term, giving up control of some things, then the requirements are do what you want, as long as they meet the intent of the requirement, and you're using providers that can also demonstrate, right, that they meet an agreed upon, I like this best way, is agreed upon set of baseline controls, and then enhanced if more sensitive, et cetera, which is what CMMC is essentially trying to do from a CUI perspective.
Yeah, very much so, because I mean, this is, at the end of the day, all these various frameworks, especially in the public sector, is really data-centric. It's how do we protect the data, and how do we have an assurance that the data is properly protected? It's not just a paper exercise, that you're actually doing what you say, and it's that whole trust but verify, right? So, you know, the key here, especially around this, is tracking that data flow and who has own, or where is it traversing, who owns where it's traversing to ensure it's properly protected. FedRAMP is a little bit more rigorous, or I guess more paranoid about it, because you know, anytime you share, like you kind of mentioned, those external service providers. In the FedRAMP world, anytime that data goes beyond your authorization boundary, they have to be protected or authorized at the equivalent level. CMMC, obviously they made that distinction. External service provider, you have to be CMC level 2, so that's similar, but then they added the whole, if it's a cloud service provider, then that triggers that whole FedRAMP moderate equivalency, and that's kind of where that comes from, is just really the nature of cloud kind of adds a whole new dimension to risk that needs to be properly addressed, that has already been done with FedRAMP, which is kind of why everyone refers back to it.
Yeah, and we've gone through the FedRAMP moderate equivalency assessment now twice since that memo's come out, so that's super fun.
You have my sympathies.
Yeah, I wish the people on the team were here, were standing behind me, because their face just turned red. No, it was obviously in response to the memo. The memo came out in, I don't know what that was, the end of 2023, 4, yeah, it kicked off at the beginning of a year. Not so sure they thought that many people would do it, because it is difficult. It's FedRAMP moderate baseline, and it's for cloud services, not for MSPs. So, so thank you for highlighting the differences there. So now when it comes to your guys' services and what you guys are doing, you know, what's an ideal OSC look like for you? Maybe start with the consulting prep side versus the assessment side.
So with our consulting, we do tend to center around the SMB area. We do enterprise support as well. We do, like say, no matter the size of the client, when you engage with us, we treat you all the same. We give you our best effort and everything else. But around the advisory, we are kind of that all-around source. We can provide support across the entire life cycle, whether you're just starting out and trying to explore things and you just need to, you know, a weekly call or a monthly call to answer some questions as you figure it out, or we do a full readiness assessment to figure it out. We can even help design an enclave if you need to do a cloud enclave that type of solution makes sense for you. We do the engineering aspect too, and then really just be there to answer questions, provide guidance on how best to do that, and then we can actually implement that program for you. Because our goal here is to make sure you have true cybersecurity protections that are consistent with what you write versus and what you do, and it actually meets your business needs. And the compliance side with CMMC or FedRAMP, whatever it is just a natural outgrowth of actually having good cybersecurity. That's our goal.
Yeah, well, it's the DoD's goal too. DOW goal. I just can't. I'm still getting used to that. But yeah, that is the idea. Is if you handle sensitive information, you have requirements to handle that. If you're going to not handle it in their own system, right? So, and then if you handle more sensitive stuff, then you should have more requirements around it, which is good. I think there's still a lot of questions on some of the CUI or not CUI stuff, but we don't have enough time in the day to talk about all of that. But I know with your background, are you starting to see that improve a little bit, maybe from the DOW's and Prime down a little bit better than it was over the last 5 years?
There has been improvement. I think the improvement, though, and this is more my personal bias in talking to people, is
you're in a safe space, so whatever you say here is totally fine.
Are you sure? No.
No, I'm not, but yeah.
No, really what I think here is people really are gaining a better understanding of what CUI is and what it means, where it was just a term, right? People just like, oh, it's CUI, whatever that is, yeah, we can protect it. Now there's true understanding what that is, especially, you know, understanding the various types of CUI, whether it's basic, whether it's specified, what constitutes it. Now, on the flip side, I think the DoD is formally recognizing that they have to be more communicative of what it is, but I think it still needs more time to filter it down so that the contract officers and the technical reps on the DoD side are properly understand and are able to communicate to the DIB of what they're sharing is considered CUI or not. My concern is going to be like me being military. There's always been an ongoing issue about overclassification more than it's needed because it's the easy way out. And I think some of that mentality is still pervasive, and I think CUI is going through that same growth that most people in the DoD or in the military that have dealt with classified information is very aware of and familiar with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, we joke with some of these conversations. Those have been around pre-CMMC days. Is the old 7012 flow-down questionnaire life that everybody lived on. Yes, no. That's all we're going to ask.
and no follow through. That was the biggest problem.
Oh yeah. Also, are you working on it when we have it done in the future? It's like, yes. So I agree. I think that has gotten better. I think there's still a lot of improvement to come. I think that's aware now. I think these CMMC assessments are actually helping with some of that because there's a case to be made. We work with a lot of small businesses. That's where we live most of the time. Is it gets down to where there's a lot less visibility. That's why we built Cuick Track in the first place. Was is it or isn't it? And if it's not, then it's not. But if it's going to be, maybe they want more contracts or whatever. But if you are going to try to push everything down and act like that's an even playing field, it's tough. It's difficult.
It is difficult, and I think people are realizing too that there is CUI in the system, or you're dealing with CUI where you may not have even considered it CUI in various use cases. Like, everyone's looking for CMC certification for this and to meet some CMC requirements, and they're doing their due diligence and due care around all that. But then it's commonly what I'm seeing is like they forget there's the ancillary actions that you do as a business that may involve CUI. For example, very typical thing is like you're talking like we provide this service and this product and handle CUI and we know this, and they're like, well, what happens when you get CUI through the RFP process to win a contract? It's like, oh yeah, we do sometimes get CUI, or you have to submit your past performance, which is sometimes considered CUI, as part of that RFP process and bidding process. And I'm like, oh, have you protected that? No. Okay, let's talk and walk through it.
Just make it all paper. You don't have to do it.
It's not you'd be surprised. We've had some people
I know
to do that, but those are things that we, from advisory help, is like outline. Okay, this is good. This is great. Here are some things that we need to improve on. But have you considered these areas too? Which, honestly, unless you are involved in the CMC world, is the compliance aspect is your job.
Right.
Because that's what we tell to our clients. Like, your job and your expertise is in what you're providing. You need to be aware of this stuff, but then also too, there's a reason why there are advisors, because like as a company, you're not going to do your own taxes as a CEO. You hire the experts to do it.
That's right.
It's the same thing with compliance too. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this wide-blown thing. It can be sized to your specific needs, and that's kind of what that's where we play in.
No, I like that. That's the saying always goes: the smaller the company, the smaller the amount of places the data can go between people. But if you plug in a bunch of technology where you have no idea where that's going, then that's where the bad things start to happen. On how do you explain that? And sometimes it's I don't know how to explain that, and that's why the professional services and the scoping and the stuff that is now an ecosystem wide is there are good people out there that can help you decide that before you make the decision a lot of people are making right now, and we're at the beginning of 2026 is this is when I want to have it all done.
Yeah.
And then you get halfway to that point and you still haven't made a call, or you've decided, but now and you find out that wasn't the way to go.
And we're all do this. I mean, we're all in the IT world. I mean, to a certain extent, we're all technophiles, right? So we feel like technology and products is going to be the silver bullet, and it's not. Right? And I think those in the industry do make the emphasis on around, but we need to general understand like compliance and cybersecurity in general is not just a technology aspect. It's people, places, and things. It's how you operate, who's doing it, and everything else. And you have to take that whole holistic view of it and make sure it matches your business process. Like if you're doing something just to meet the requirements, that's not a good solution. You're actually making things more painful, probably more complicated, and you're probably dropping the ball on some things. That's kind of where you need to look at what are the requirements and how do we adapt this to how we operate and do business. Because without that, it does not become a sustainable program.
Right.
And that's where people get in trouble, because hey, you may pass it the first year, but it's not a one and done thing. It is an ongoing aspect that you have to maintain. And honestly, in general, it's all about protecting the CUI data, right? The data of our clients. So you should be willing or want to make sure you have an ongoing, practical and scalable program to secure your client's data.
Thank you for hitting on scalability. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole a little bit, but that is a big deal. The world's going to be different in 3 years. If you get certified today, you have to keep it there. This isn't a put the folder back up. I guess I don't know if people use folders anymore, but put the binder back above your IT person's desk and then dust that off in 2.5 years and prepare. Things are going to change.
Yep.
You know, systems go through updates, things go through evolvement. People decide to print when they weren't for the last 2 years because their scope was so small. That expands scope. That requires another certification. So, well, thank you again for spending a couple minutes as a busy conference, which I don't think is picking up any background noise, which is great. I want to have you on again when we see how things go, whether it's in person or we can just do it virtually, see how things have changed. And best of luck on the authorized C3PO. That's going to change life. It's going to get pretty hectic, even more so than it already is. Yeah. So we need more C3POs as we can get that know what they're doing. So thanks for doing that.
No, appreciate it. We've been through it once. Just taking time to get through the backlog and getting it done again.
Well, for those watching and listening, where can they go to learn more about what you guys do at RISCPoint, but also where can they connect with you if they want to connect with you specifically?
Sure. So RISCPoint is with a C. Our website, RISCPoint, RISCPoint.com. You can always reach us through there. We have a contact form and everything else. People are happy to message me on LinkedIn. It is William's actually my first name, Tony is my middle, but you'll see it as William Tony Bai, B-A-I, on LinkedIn, so feel free to message me there. See me here at the conference, stop by, I'll pass out, give you a contact card and everything else, but those are probably the best ways of contacting us.
Love it. All right, well, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll get you on next time.
Sounds good, thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode, and make sure to subscribe to the Cuick 10 podcast wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about QuickTrack, visit our website at www.quicktrack.com.